It's good to have you back now. Let's begin with some of the top headlines making the rounds on the show today. The federal government of Nigeria has secured the largest share of the $65 billion. That's about 27 trillion Nigerian naira funding from the World Bank's International Development Association to African countries. According to a statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, 70% of the $65 billion of the entire package, which amounted to $93 billion, that's about 38 trillion naira, will be deployed to various African states, with the largest share being awarded to Nigeria. Furthermore, President Muhammadu Buhari will join other African leaders in Dakar, said that the largest financial package ever mobilized in the history of the IDA will prioritize some key areas such as agriculture and food security, human capital, climate change adaptation, bridging the gender gap, job creation, digital and technology co-innovation, among others. He also called on global partners for concerted efforts to help reduce the aftershock of the COVID-19 pandemic and stabilize developing economies towards sustainable growth. And away from there now, the Federal Minister of Aviation, in line with the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Act 2005 and global best practices, has informed all stakeholders, local and international development partners and members of the media that the request for proposals phase of the Nigeria Airport Concessions Program commenced on the 1st of June. Shortlisted bidders have since been notified in writing via the transaction portal. Special Assistant on Public Affairs to the Minister of Aviation, James Odaudu, said in a statement that the RFP stage of the program will close on the 5th of September 2022. All shortlisted bidders are further encouraged to ensure that they make their submissions in a timely manner and as per the detailed guidelines included in the bidders package. The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Aviation, Abel Enito, added that the level of genuine interest in Nigeria is a testament to the sheer scale of opportunity the country offers in long term to investors who share a positive vision of the nation's future. And next now is the key finding of the Stanbic IBTC Purchasing Manager Index PMI report for June 2022 has revealed that the productivity of the Nigerian private sector experienced its first decline in 19 months by moving down from 53.9 in May to 50.9% in June. The PMI report also revealed that the growth of new order moderated to a weakest point in 2 years, while overall input price inflation quickened to 4-month high. The report states that the Nigerian private sector remained in growth territory at the end of the second quarter, although recent challenges around cash shortages have led to weaker new order growth and a renewed decline in output. According to the report, this resulted in business conditions improving at the weakest rate for almost 18 months as companies responded by raising their staffing levels, purchases and stocks of input at reduced rate in June. And now the Nigerian Immigration Service has announced the launch of the enhanced e-passport for Nigerians in the United Kingdom and the United States of America, which comes with 10-year validity. This is for the Nigerian missions and consulate in the UK and the USA, according to a statement by the Nigerian Immigration Service. Furthermore, the NIS said the passport comes in 3 categories, which are 32-page, 5-year validity, 64-page, 5-year validity, and 64-page, 10-year validity. Recall the federal government launched the electronic temporary passport to cater for Nigerians desirous of returning home but whose national passport is not available. It later announced the launch of an enhanced e-passport, which will improve the passport application process for Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. Well, these are the top 4 business headlines coming to you now. Let's get into the analysis of some of these trending stories. Mr. Olusegun Okwande is the chairman in Ikeja District Society of ICANN. He joins us via the telephone now. Thank you for your time. I'm aware you are in transit and you are on the go right now. But thank you for making it up to us here now. Let's take a look at, the first story. Maybe we should start from there. The first story, which talked about the fact that Nigeria is taking advantage of the current fund, talking about the fund, the International Development Fund that has been budgeted for African countries. Nigeria is the largest beneficiary of that fund, over 27 trillion naira. Now, how excited are you, especially now that the country is talking about how to combat the food insecurity and, of course, the issue around insecurity in the Northeast as well?
Thank you very much, Frank. Good morning to you and good morning to our viewers. Let me start by telling you that personally, I'm not too optimistic. I'm not too excited. If you look at the circumstances surrounding where we found ourselves now, the government has never been intentional. And for me, talking from the business perspective, you need to be intentional about certain things and have your plans on ground so that when funds are made available, you will be able to channel it appropriately. And what do I mean by this? The major things that have been beholding us to our face and we find difficult to manage that has affected several things. It's one, insecurity. And with the fact that if you have so much money that should be plowed into other investment, being diverted into insecurity, you discover that we are not moving anywhere. In your prologue, I listened to that where you said the majority of this thing will actually be ventured into agriculture. And I asked myself the question, where are we going to have this agricultural basis with the level of insecurity that has even heightened to the level where people, this miscreant has the boldness to attack the number one citizen, the convoy of an number one, whether it's advanced or the main one. The truth states that insecurity has faced us, heads on, and a country that is not secure, irrespective of the amount of money that you venture into it, you will not get value for it, and that is one. The other aspect is infrastructure, deficiency, and that you can still take it to the level of insecurity too. You remember the amount of money that was ventured into the rail system. Is it operational as we speak? It's hazard in the sense that we have it today, the next minute they are being attacked and we are not having the better. So I feel government should be intentional. What are the workflow plan? We have more of this thing documented, but the implementation has been a challenge. So if we get the money, you discover that it will rather than taking us to the next level, impoverish Nigerians the more. And the people will be saying, we are helping them because the proper planning is not there on the part of the government to make sure that an average Nigerian enjoys some of these dividends of some of the things that we are talking about. So that's why I feel not to bother the time, bother you so much, that I feel that I'm not optimistic. We've had several of these grants, several of these funds being given to us, and we are not doing anything meaningful with it. Rather, we've been having one challenges or the other that we find difficult to solve. So for me, government should be intentional about some of the things that they intend to do, and then with that, an average Nigeria will be beneficiary of some of the things that we're talking about.
Well, a point taken. Let's talk about, especially now that this is not, of course, will I say raised by any other body, but the World Bank itself, that is the International Development Association to African countries, coming up with this fund. Maybe the government will be accountable based on the fact that it is coming from the World Bank. How do you react?
Well, I will not subscribe to that. I don't want to sound spiritual, but I think it's moral. He who is not faithful in a little will be difficult when you committed more assignments or more tasks to him? Have they been accountable to the citizen of the country? How transparent are they for us to be beneficiary of some of the things that should be our entitlement? So for me, if we have to yield the floor because an external person is asking us questions, then we are not doing justice to the citizen that will claim that we will be leading. So on my part, we've had several funds, go and channel. And I want to believe that I don't know when these funds will definitely be disbursed, but if it is disbursed during this electionary process, then I can tell you for free that it's a waste of resources, because majority will be channeled to stomach infrastructure by our politicians because of their insincerity even to an average Nigerian.
Before we move on to the next question, let me ask you the last question on this particular story. Take away insecurity out of the way, take away corruption and lack of accountability. Now, some of sectors, of course, listed to benefit, which, of course, one is the agriculture sector. Of course, other areas that are also listed to benefit is the digital and technological innovation, among others. You talk about the food security, the human capital, and, of course, the job creation. Now, how well do you think we can utilize this if you take away lack of accountability, the insecurity in the Northeast, if you take away all of these challenges?
Yeah, well, if everything is as expected, I think it's a very good investment on the part that you already have areas where you will channel some of those things to. But if those other areas are not there, then there is nothing that we have to discuss about it. It will come the same way that we have been collecting loan, we have been collecting, facility from other countries or from other monetary funds, and we find it difficult to even repay back, causing more havoc for the generation on board. So, until we address the fundamental, we cannot be talking of the future. Address the fundamental so that you can have the right thing to build on it. And what are the fundamental? Provide security. It's entrenched in Section 14, subsection 2. The major responsibility of the government is nothing than to provide security and better welfare for its citizens. If you're able to address those two, whatever funds we are very creative, Frank, I can tell you for free. But the enabling environment is not out there for an average Nigerian, an average youth to display that skill that he has in him. And that's why when you see us outside the country, we tend to be the rock, the foundation behind the success of some of those developed countries, because they have a system that works, they have the infrastructure facility to make things and people think in the right proportion. And that's what we are lacking. If the foundation is right, I can tell you the best place to be with the natural resources endowed by this country is no other place, no US, no UK, it's Nigeria to be.
Let's move to the next top stories now, talking about the airport concession and the federal government launching requests for proposals, asking bidders to send in their proposals, talking about some of the airports across the country in terms of concession. How laudable is this? Because the government, of course, have been talking about concession all this while. We also understand that the union are also kicking against it. But let's look at beyond the union kicking against it and the negative impact of the sector. How laudable is this initiative, concessioning some of the airport to make profit from it?
Frank, with all seriousness, I think it's a laudable thing if this is followed to later, and not that the concessioning will be going to individuals that feel that they should use that to settle themselves. If it is transparent enough, it's something I will is laudable about. The aspect of the union, definitely when the private sector takes over certain business, they know how to manage some of those things. And I can tell you, I've said it on different fora, and also on this, that the business of the government is not to participate in businesses like this. They have to create the enabling environment for the people that understands the business, because an everything that is committed in the hands of the government, because of the personally, who understand the business, are given opportunity to manage the business and make necessary returns to the government through taxation and some other areas. Government should answer some of the things they are doing in line of businesses, create the enabling environment, if possible, make available the fund. And above all, one thing that has been lacking on the aspect of the government is to monitor the activity, to make sure that the people that are actually, giving out some of these things follow every part of their contract to letter. Situation where there are deviants, there are areas where they are not fulfilling it, you can have an understanding to know the reason. If it is an intentional act of failure, penalty should be given to them. And I can tell you will grow. Like in other countries, these are things that have been practiced. Government does not get itself ourselves in the involved of the business that is expected of an average Nigerian.
Okay, let's look at the next story here, which talk about the productivity in the Nigerian private sector declining from 50.9% to, declining from 53.9% to 50.9% in June. So what's your take on this? What do you think is responsible for the decline in productivity within the private sector?
A lot, Frank, and I think I need to be sincere with us. COVID came with its own issue, but we are gradually getting over it. Before we were slammed on the face with some certain factors that an average business person relies on, and that is foreign exchange and power. These two things place prominent, cost on the part of productivity. It will interest you to hear that people now who are supposed to be operating 24 hours on power rotate activity, which has declined their productivity. Also, it contributes to the bottom line of it. Majority of the things that an average businessman needs, it's not being produced domestically. So you rely on the imported product, and what do you use in making the payment? Foreign exchange. So you discover that the key factor that makes some of these things to happen are actually on the high side. The cost of diesel, as of yesterday, I learned is about 805, which I bought. It's not that he told me. I approved the payment for them to buy diesel yesterday, and it was at 805. These are diesel that we're buying at the rate of 300, 350. So the cost of operation has actually gone high, and every business owner is struggling to see how they can cope with it. And what do you get? People being laid off the work, for people to make sure that at least they struggle to break even for the business continuity.
Let me quickly jump in here. Yes. How soon do you think we can get out of this? It seems that we're going to be running through this, through this for a long time.
Of course, Frank. I won't want to deceive anyone. There is, to me, I don't know, it might be, you might have an understanding of it. I don't think there is any intentional act on either revamping a refinery or building a new one. And if we continue to import some of these refined products, what we get to here face is what we're doing now. The reason why I'm still on the road, why I had to pull over at the filling station to attend to this, is because a journey of 30 minutes has cost me over 3.5 hours. And that is loss of productivity. I'm supposed to be in a meeting where I'm supposed to be there physically to make something, show them physical things, not pictures. And it's a journey of like 30, 40 minutes. It's taking me 3.5 hours. That is productive hours I'm supposed to use in doing certain things, at work. Now, you are on the road, you are wasting fuel, because you are not getting to where you should be. The fuel is even not available. Even people in the office are wasting more money on this. So the operating cost is high, and there is no how an average business will definitely succeed with it. What they will resort to is to increase the price. And you ask yourself the question, is the purchasing power power for an average Nigerian? Has it increased? The answer is no. So we are in for it, and I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I'm just being realistic about this to say I cannot see light behind the tunnel in the next possible time, because our refinery, we are not hearing anything about how some of these products can be refined locally for us to enjoy them. Except we'll finish and they have a Dangote refinery, which you and I know that is private initiative and not that of the government.
All right. Let's wrap it up now. The last story, which talked about the e-passport that the federal government has just launched, and the beneficiaries of these is the Nigerians in UK as well. So, I mean, the report talked about the fact that there are about 33 categories of e-passports, 32 pages for 5 years, 64 pages for another 5 years, and of course you have 64 pages for 10 years. I mean, this, of course, is something that a lot of people perhaps have expected to come before now. How excited are you about this?
Yeah, well, better late than never. But it's coming on board. I think it's something that is okay, that we are ready to embrace. But the truth of it is, how many people in the diaspora are willing to come back home? So many of them have been complaining. You know, I do have opportunity to travel and visit them. They'll tell you the level of insecurity in the country scares them. If we had had a good safety, this initiative that would have been very laudable for some of them to come home and bring some of this currency to invest in the nation, so that we can increase the level of our employment level with some of the factories that they will set up and the infrastructure that will come up. But be that it may, a good initiative, we applaud them. How consistent are they going to go about this so that people will not beat it or cut corner? I know I had the experience of where they have to ask you to do like we do each time we want to apply for visa, where you need to pick dates when you go and do your passport with them, and the approval is system generated. So if this can be adhered to, that people will not cut short or cut corner, at least you can have a fiscal plan to say,
exactly, because that's where I want
at this point I will get it.
Exactly where I wanted to come in there. How easy is it going to be to access or to have these sorted? Because if we must succeed with this, of course, we must also look at how fast we can, make the process of accessing or processing this document, very simple as well. I think this is one of the concerns that has to be also addressed as well. Talk to us about this.
You see, the immigration should come out with more enlightenment and education on how this process will be seamless for people to plug in, and also watch on their staff who might want to find one way or the other to beat the corner, to make sure that the dates that are not meant for individuals are actually, bypassed, so that they can avail it to people that will give them the cost. So that's the area of monitoring. So if some of these things are there too, see, anything that is automated is as fast as any other thing. Let me share the example. In the financial institution, you have an app that works. Do you contact the branch manager before you do your transfer? The answer is no. You plug in something, you are not interfacing with, you have minimal human interference. You do what you're supposed to do, you get rid of it. We apply for so many things online with the developed country without having an interface with any individual, and you get value for what you want. So if they can minimize the human interface and monitor the aspect of it to make sure that people are not just blocking the date that is meant for genuine applicants in such a way for them to sell to people when they need it in a desperate manner, I'm sure it will be a very laudable one that everybody will applaud. But one funny thing about the country is that every system, the next minute, people are looking for way to circumvent it in order for them to enrich themselves. And that's where we are today.
I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Olusegun Okwade, Chairman, Ikeja District Society of ICANN. Thank you so much for your time on Business Breakfast. And, of course, we wish you a happy holiday.
Thank you very much. very much, Frank, for having me.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you get my needs across to me for the song.
It's all right. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time. You
My
have a great
pleasure
day.
always.
Yeah. You're still watching Business Breakfast, coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. Still to come after the break, we'll take a closer look at the latest UN State of Food Security and Nutrition 2022 report, as 828 million people go hungry globally. So what are the factors responsible for these statistics, and how are countries responding to the challenges of hunger around the world? Well, big question there. Of course, that's our next talking point in a moment. This is Business Breakfast. Please stay with us.